Dalam Prof punya kajian ada 213 heritage food, betul ke? 213.
Ya, yang tu adalah heritage food yang telah diwartakan oleh Jabatan Warisan Negara. Makanan yang dah pupus tu, we try to bring back. Nasi lemak, roti canai dan teh tarik telah diwartakan di UNESCO tahun lepas. And inilah selalu kali pertama Malaysian breakfast mendapat pengiktirafan di peringkat UNESCO.
Profesor Shahrim adalah satu-satunya Professor of Malaysian Heritage Food and Culture di Malaysia.
Dengan lebih 30 tahun pengalaman dalam industri F&B,
Beliau pernah berkhidmat di hotel bertaraf dunia seperti Raffles Singapore dan Sheraton New York.
Di New York, beliau dibayar ribuan dolar untuk mengajar syarikat Amerika tentang masakan Malaysia. Hari ini, beliau mengkaji 213 makanan warisan negara dengan satu misi besar.
Menyelamatkan khazanah makanan warisan Malaysia daripada pupus.
Satu soalan kontroversi yang membuatkan dua negara berlaga. Rendang tu dari Malaysia ke dari Indonesia?
Of course, rendang tak boleh dipertikaikan. Memang dari Indonesia. Rendang Malaysia, rendang di Indonesia lain. Kan rendang di Indonesia yang terkenal cuma di Sumatera. And we are so close to Sumatra. There's so many migration from Indonesia to Malaysia. So that's why rendang dah jadi part of us, you see.
Ada tak makanan dalam senarai heritage food tersebut yang Prof rasa dia ada potential tapi langsung tak ada orang pun yang cuba jual dia?
Makanan kita memang banyak potential, tetapi orang yang membuatnya tak ada. That's why sangat penting legasi makanan kita ni diteruskan. We documentkan dia, jadi benda tu ada, you see. For example, like ada sambal tai minyak. Jarang orang tahu. Makanan tu sangat lazat dan sangat-sangat healthy.
Selain sambal tai minyak,
Rendang betik, for example.
rendang betik.
Rendang betik. Ni adalah dari Negeri Sembilan. Actually, makanan kita ni kan kena diolah menggunakan bahan-bahan tempatan. That's why the government is talking about food security. Kita masih mengimport banyak sumber makanan. Tetapi banyak sumber makanan yang boleh dihasilkan di negara kita. Jadi, we can reduce our import bills kan. Sekarang ni pelanggan boleh bayar untuk mendapatkan makanan yang sedap. Kalau makanan tu tak sedap, dia akan pergi sekali saja. Seorang mahal ke, seorang murah ke, they want to be in the business tapi dia tak tahu about business. They don't smile, they don't say thank you. Little things make a difference, you know. Sometimes food dia tak buat so-so, no? Tapi servis dia bagus. They can survive. To make it short kan, bisnes makanan ni tak akan boleh sustain unless you...
Saya baru tengok kita punya YouTube Analytics dan saya dapati bahawa sebanyak 82% daripada anda semua yang menonton Laga Lutut Podcast masih belum subscribe ke channel Laga Lutut Podcast. Jadi boleh tak saya nak ajak anda semua untuk sama-sama sertai 18% kepada mereka yang sudah subscribe. Sebab bila anda subscribe Laga Lutut Podcast ni, dia membantu tim kami untuk menghasilkan lagi banyak konten dan boleh menjemput lebih banyak guest yang boleh memberi lebih banyak input dan nilai dalam membantu anda untuk memajukan diri dalam bisnes dan juga diri kita semua sendiri. Jadi jemput subscribe, dan subscribe tu percuma saja. Anda boleh subscribe dengan tekan butang merah di bawah. Sekarang silalah sambung tonton Laga Lutut Podcast. Terima kasih. Assalamualaikum Prof.
Waalaikumsalam, apa khabar AMIRUL?
Khabar baik, Alhamdulillah. Prof, untuk mereka yang tak pernah kenal Prof Shahrim, how do you want to summarize Prof punya pengalaman sepanjang 30 tahun dalam industri F&B kepada mereka?
Okay. To make a long story short, my interest in food has brought me around the globe. Okay. I started my study in, saya belajar mula dengan kecintaan saya dengan makanan. Makanan kan. So, I decided to take diploma in Culinary Arts dari UiTM. Masa tu diploma chef training. So masa tu tahun 90-an. Tapi masa tu kan orang tak tahu kerjaya chef ni kan. But then memanglah saya dah bermula untuk suka to create food and dealing with food ni dari kecil ya. Then after SPM I decided to do that diploma. And then after that, after completing my diploma, in the late 80-an, saya mendapat sijil pelajar terbaik masa tu.
Okay.
Okay. Dan dari situ saya berhijrah ke Singapura. Because mengapa saya pergi kerja Singapura? Because my family also asal dari sana juga. My mom was brought up and my dato is also Singaporean, my uncle, all these things. And then I was working with 2 hotels in Singapore. Tetapi saya bukan bekerja dalam bidang chef to start with. Cooking kan, cooking, food preparation, whatever. Tapi as a stepping stone, masa tu dia buka untuk waiting staff, waiter, you know. So, I went to. But then masa tu ada juga my senior dah ada kat hotel tu. Dia dah bekerja sebagai chef. So, I went there, I took the job and I did it very well. And finally, I transferred to the kitchen. That was at Carlton Hotel in Singapore. So, I was in the kitchen, yeah. Prepare food preparation and all these things. So, itu satu pengalaman yang sangat baik. And saya enjoy every moment of it when I was in Singapore. So after a while working at this hotel, first hotel when I went to Singapore, and I transferred to Raffles Hotel. Raffles Hotel is very prestigious in Singapore, right? And I got to work there. And how I got the job is, I pergi interview tu, dia ada openings. Raffles Hotel is a very, how should I say, very grand. It's like historic hotels of Singapore, of the world as well. Yeah. And I pergi interview tu, dia ada opening. So I went for the interview and then it was raining. And then suddenly kan, you can cerita, I was standing to this guy, to this German guy, and he was asking me, what did you come here for? I said, I was interviewing for a chef. He was an executive chef. So, macam mana I got a job there and I was placed in the cold kitchen. So I was working, you know, I started my job to work with prestigious hotel. So I've seen all this fancy stuff. They're all the best in the world, kan? So that's the standard that I have put in my throughout my life, lah. You know, I want to always like have the best, kan? Then I managed to work there for I think almost like 2 years before I moved to New York City. Interesting, kan? From Singapore, Malaysia, Singapore, and New York, I got to continue my studies at New York University in Bachelor of Science in Hotel Restaurant Management. So from chef, I went to hotel restaurant management, right? And then because I did my diploma 3 years, and I just do as a transfer student at New York University. And going to New York when I was like early 20s, you know, it was like the best part of my life, you know, living in New York. And then I graduated after 2 years, and I had a summer interns at Sheraton, New York. And I was hired as well. You know, masa tu tak ada lah mobile phone or whatever, you know, but then I have to go to call back the hotel to check whether I got a job or not. But I was intern there. You know, to find a placement for intern tu kan, kita pakai public phone je masa tu. I have to call the hotels, human resource, blah, 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 and I talk to general manager semua. And then I was recommended by my supervisor at the university, connect me with the hotel. So I got my summer intern and I continue on working on. But then I was doing front office management. I was working as like di sana dipanggil guest service agent, you know. And at the same time, I got another job. I was working for Tourism Malaysia. And to live in New York City is very, very expensive, you see. I need to pay for my apartment almost like 1,500 during that time, USD during that time, you know. So I have to make a lot of money lah. But I've got 2 jobs. Morning, I'm in the office. At the Tourism Malaysia office, I do different things. I do accounting, I do trade shows, I do traveling, I do cooking as well. And sometimes companies invite me where I teach them about Malaysian food during that time, you know. And how much I charge them? That time I charged them for $2,000 just to give consultancy. I went to their lab and to cook Malaysian food. And they pick me up they pick me up by a limo. You know, they send a limo to pick me up and send me back and then pay me $2,000 US. That's a lot of money, you know, because of my food, you see. And when I was in New York as well, I was offered to work at the St. Regis Hotel. You know, I know St. Regis so long ago. Then now we have St. Regis, you know, like back a few years ago. And they want me to work at this Le Pinas restaurant, which is a fancy fine dining restaurant. But then I could not take the job because I said I was still a student. I have to finish my degree, you see. But then I got to work at the Sheraton. I worked there. And then but then during that time, I was doing so many things, And I was also working for a friend of mine who got a catering company. Saudi, she's a Burmese American, and I was helping her. We were doing what, we're doing private event. We will prepare at the kitchen outlet, and then we'll take the food and then prepare event for like 5 to 10, and then we charge at that time maybe 100 or 150 US per person. It's like a private dining stuff, and then very fancy food, and then we just go to the apartment, the apartments, and then we prepare the food, and then there'll be one server, and I'll be in the kitchen, and then we serve dinner, for example. And I was working for different organizations, like what do you call this? Volunteering a lot in, with some Americans associations, food association, food and wine associations, because they have events, So I did a lot of things in New York City, and living in New York was the best. And during that time, that was the first time that Starbucks was created. And I live in Manhattan, in the city. And the corner from my apartment is just Starbucks. And that Starbucks, everybody wants to be in Starbucks and to have the coffee, blah, blah, blah. But now I don't do Starbucks anymore. So I knew Starbucks like 30 years ago. And then I worked there. And let's say if I decided to live there, I would be an American by now. But I'm glad to come back to Malaysia, because I want to contribute more to the country. And of course, I still have friends who are still living in New York City, because New York kan, bila you dah biasa dengan kehidupan di sana, you cannot live in anywhere else. So that's New York City, you see. And that was the best moment in my life, and I gained so much experience, you see, because I work with different restaurants, and also over there, I volunteer myself in the French patisserie. Also, is my friend, my Burmese friend, recommend me to work in this patisserie, French patisserie. And when I was in New York in 2017, I visited this French restaurant, a French cafe, and they have grown so much. They have like an industry. Ada kilang pastry that supplies all pastries within New York City area. A French guy who's married to a Mexican in New York City, and I make friends with them. But then what I did was I volunteered myself because I want to learn French pastries. I went to the pastry shop to like early morning, like maybe 5:30, because that was the time yang diorang really prepare for the morning breakfast stuff, like croissant, Thai pie, tarts, semua tu. They make everything from scratch. So I learned a lot. And at Raffles also, I learned a lot about the food, about cuisine and everything, you see. And then 97, my dad was not well, and I decided to come back. And then I did my master's, MBA. You see, MBA, I did that within a year. And then after that, I applied to UPM, and then I was hired as a lecturer. At that time, to become a lecturer, you need a master, because in my area is very tak ramai orang kan.
Very niche.
And tak ramai orang masa tu dalam bidang ni. Jadi they hire me lah. At that time also, I was offered a job in Brunei. Luckily, I went for the interview in Brunei. But I was so glad I did not take the job in Brunei. Living in Brunei is going to be very broad, you see. Very quiet, But I've been to Brunei many times. There's some project there, kan? And I did my master, and then I was hired in UPM, and then I was at a job in UPM as a lecturer academic. That's when I started my academic job. And after 3 years, I have to go back to do my PhD.
Go back to the US.
Go to the US, yes. I decided to be in the US. I'm very familiar with the US. But this time, I chose Oklahoma State University. That's where I did my doctoral degree in 2003, and I completed in 2006. And then, why I chose Oklahoma? Because for PhD, I don't want to live in big city. It's going to be expensive. I don't have enough money. I got to work. But in Oklahoma, it's like a kampong, So I can concentrate on my studies, and I yet got to work as well. I work in a boutique hotel kat campus too. And then I work different jobs, in the university, within the university, so I can make extra cash. And then I completed my study, you see. And I also teaching. I was teaching in an American classroom as well. I was teaching marketing for many, many semesters. I handled the room, the classroom myself, you see. And I have to report to this professor. He didn't even teach this course. I have to teach it. So I taught an American classroom, you see. And that was the best. So when I came back 2006, then is when I started teaching and doing my research and focusing my research in heritage food. But then my research during my doctoral degree was food and tourism. And I was the pioneer in the world to do research in food and tourism. That time I was looking at France, Italy, and Thailand because these were the top destination, food destination. People go for this country untuk makan kan. Jadi saya buatlah research tentang tu, mengapa orang pergi ke tempat negara tu nak tengok, nak rasa makanan dia apa semua tu, dan bagaimana dia boleh berjaya. And Malaysia also, kita adalah country yang penuh dengan makanan, tetapi we have a lot of potential yang perlu digilap dan we can become the number one as well. We have been, some of our food dah jadi nombor 1 di dunia kan. So kalau makanan kita tu dikenali ramai, kita can export our food. People will come to Malaysia and create a lot of business. So the business out there, you have to know how to do the business right. So I've been working with many, many organizations, from MPOB to Nestle to different organizations, you see, to share my wealth of knowledge. And also I have my TV programs, my TV programs around the world. I cook, I bring Malaysian food around the world from Europe, Americas, Middle East, South America. I cooked nasi lemak in Paraguay last year, So food has brought me all over the world like that.
So sebenarnya apa misi Prof sebenarnya dan kenapa Prof pilih misi tersebut? Dengan all the things that you've gone through.
Because, I feel that, all this to do with our Malaysian food. Malaysian food kan, for me, I tengok. For me, saya always dari dulu, dari dulu, kini dan selamanya, saya kata Malaysian food sells. We can sell Malaysian food if it's done right. Kan, look at Thailand. Dia sangat berjaya mempamerkan ataupun memasarkan makanan mereka ke seluruh dunia. We can be like that too. We can be even better than that. But we have to work very hard, you see. But then sometimes, because saya nampak banyak potensi makanan warisan kita pun, kalau kita tak jaga makanan tu juga, makanan tu akan hilang. Nobody will know our food. And younger generations ni sekarang ni semua nak makan makanan segera, makanan barat and all these things. Dia tak tahu makanan kita. So, in the next 20 years, you think this food going to be here or no? So that's why I am so concerned. I do a lot of research. I talk about heritage food like that, you see.
Dalam Prof punya kajian ada 213 heritage food, betul ke? 213.
Ya, yang tu adalah heritage food yang telah diwartakan oleh Jabatan Warisan Negara. Makanan yang yang dah pupus tu, we try to bring back, you see.
Nasi lemak adalah di dalam 213.
Ya, nasi lemak, nasi lemak, roti canai dan teh tarik telah diwartakan di UNESCO tahun lepas. Dan it has become the World Intangible Heritage. And inilah satu kali pertama makanan Malaysian breakfast mendapat pengiktirafan di peringkat UNESCO. Tetapi kita ada macam sumber arts yang lain, for example like songket, dondang sayang, semua dah diangkat ke UNESCO. Tapi itu pertama kali Malaysian breakfast yang 3 tu diangkat ke UNESCO. Jadi people are aware, macam kimchi. Kimchi is jang is Korean chili paste kan, memang dah diangkat ke UNESCO. Dan kita pun nak mengangkat lain-lain makanan yang sesuai untuk diangkat ke UNESCO untuk dikenali ramai di seluruh dunia macam tu.
Okay Prof, Dan Alang tu saya nak tanya terus, satu soalan kontroversi yang membuatkan dua negara berlaga.
Okay.
Rendang tu dari Malaysia ke dari Indonesia?
Of course, rendang tak boleh dipertikaikan. Memang dari Indonesia.
Oh, okay.
Ya, memang dari Indonesia because tetapi rendang kan macam dah sampai rendang di Malaysia, rendang di Indonesia lain. Kan rendang di Indonesia yang terkenal cuma di Sumatera. And we are so close to Sumatra. There's so many migration from Indonesia to Malaysia dulu naik sampan apa semua kan. So that's why rendang dah jadi kita part of us, you see. And also, for example, kalau kita nak bring rendang to UNESCO, kita boleh membawa rendang bersama, kita boleh sekali jalan dengan bawa rendang Malaysia dan Indonesia ke UNESCO untuk mengiktiraf rendang sebagai warisan UNESCO, intangible heritage of the world. Macam baru last year juga kita bawa kebaya. So kebaya tu adalah dipunyai oleh Indonesia, Malaysia, Singapore, Thailand dan Brunei. 5 negara. So we file in for 5 countries to put kebaya. So tak boleh je one country because semua tu adalah we are sharing the culture, you see. Like that.
Jadi 213 heritage food tu ialah semuanya daripada Malaysia lah.
Malaysia lah. That's our food. Dari utara selatan, sampai Sabah Sarawak.
Adakah dia makanan yang daripada bangsa Melayu sahaja ke ataupun
Campur-campur
campuran?
semua ada.
Oh,
semua ada.
semua
India ada, Chinese ada, Kadasan ada, semuanya ada. Satu Malaysia.
Dekat dalam banyak kan Prof dah tengok semua usahawan kedai makan buka brand jual macam-macam makanan Malaysia, betul tak?
Yeah.
Ada tak makanan dalam senarai heritage food tersebut yang Prof rasa dia ada potential tapi langsung tak ada orang pun yang cuba jual dia?
Ada makanan kita memang banyak potential tetapi orang yang membuatnya tak ada.
Lah.
Orang pembuatnya dah not here anymore. That's why sangat penting legasi makanan kita ni diteruskan, diberi training kepada generasi muda ni, di share the knowledge and we documentkan dia. Jadi benda tu ada, you see.
Apa nama makanan tu yang Prof terfikir sekarang?
Macam makanan for example like orang Melaka ya, sebab saya Melaka, ada sambal tahi minyak.
Sambal tahi minyak.
Sambal tahi minyak, I think dia memang ada dalam list tu. Tapi siapa yang tahu sambal tahi minyak?
Saya rasa saya pernah dengar dan makan
Tapi
rasanya.
jarang orang tahu.
Itulah.
Jarang orang tahu, Tapi makanan tu sangat lazat. Dia ada herba, ada pucuk ubi, ada, and ada, minyak, gunakan minyak kelapa, guna tahi minyak and all this. And these are very, sangat-sangat berkhasiat dan sangat-sangat healthy.
Selain sambal tahi minyak?
Rendang betik, for example.
Rendang betik?
Rendang betik. Ni adalah dari Negeri Sembilan. You see, you pun tak pernah dengar kan?
Tak pernah dengar. Ini tak pernah dengar.
Rendang betik ni kan, why dia buat rendang betik orang Negeri Sembilan? Mungkin masa dulu orang tu mungkin tidak berupaya membeli daging mahal kan? So dia buat dari betik. Betik memang boleh. Myself, saya dah buat rendang dari nangka pun saya buat. Macam the vegetarian punya type. Sangat sedap. So, actually makanan kita ni kan kena diolah menggunakan bahan-bahan tempatan. That's why the government is talking about food security. Kita masih mengimport banyak sumber makanan. Tetapi banyak sumber makanan yang boleh dihasilkan di negara kita. Jadi we can reduce our import bills kan. And then we can create a lot of businesses dari orang Malaysia lah. Ini buka ladang ke, buka business, whatever, you see.
Okay, one of the things yang saya perasan waktu saya belajar dan sampai sekarang pun ialah ada gap between academician dengan the actual industries. Dan saya nampak podcast ni boleh jadi the bridge to close up the academic dengan juga keusahawanan.
Yeah.
Macam contoh, sorry potong, mungkin kalau Prof ada satu suggestion yang Prof boleh kongsikan kepada yang mendengar, untuk mereka yang nak introduce menu baru ataupun nak buat bisnes baru dalam senarai semua heritage food tu, Prof nak cadangkan mereka jual produk apa? Sebagai like macam contoh kan Khairul Amin dia jual sambal nyet. Sambal nyet tu obviously bukan Malaysia kan, itu Indonesia, betul?
Indonesian influence.
Yeah.
Indonesian
So
influence.
macam contoh kalau kita let's say lah Khairul Amin dekat sebelah kita and then Prof kata, why not you jual?
For me kan, I always go with For example, kalau saya suka buka macam kalau saya nak buka restoran, saya buka restoran yang my restaurant will be known for this particular dish. For example, nak buka restoran sate. Saya akan concentrate on sate saja. Tapi I will do sate yang terbaik. Because sekarang ni, Amirul, nak jumpa sate, tak ada yang sedap. Betul, tak ada. Ada pun, raja-raja sate yang dikenali dulu pun dah lenyap, akan lenyap. Because bisnes tak boleh sustainable, Amirul.
Kenapa tu, Prof?
Kenapa? Kerana mereka tak boleh keeping abreast with the current market trends, with the dengan cabaran masa kini. There's so much dengan cost yang makin tinggi, dengan pekerja, dengan kualiti. Well, Amirul, to make it short kan, bisnes makanan ni tak akan boleh sustain unless you work very hard to sustain the business. In terms of pertamanya, like sekarang ni kan, for example, sekarang ni pelanggan boleh bayar, berapa pun dia boleh bayar untuk mendapatkan makanan yang sedap. Kan? Kalau makanan tu tak sedap, I always experience tu, Amirul. Saya pergi restoran tu, saya akan pergi sekali saja. Restoran mahal ke, restoran murah ke, and then they don't know. They want to be in the business, tapi dia tak tahu about business. Like, they don't smile, they don't say thank you. Little things make a difference, Kalau you pergi restoran di Amerika kan, they will treat you like a king and queen. They know how to do the service. They really treat you very well. Because kesana tu, one thing dia punya tips tu is one of the business kan. Jadi dia nak dapatkan tiap yang sangat banyak, dia akan serve you very well. Tapi tak semuanya macam tu. Tetapi the element of service tu ada. Tapi sini kan, sometimes you pergi, okay, you makan-makan kat restoran tu, pinggan semua dah kosong, nobody would clear. Orang dah jalan, dah balik, baru clear. Sometimes I have to call the people to ask the waiter to clear. I don't like to see dirty dishes in front of me, because I want to talk and then I want to enjoy and I want to order more. Dirty dishes tak clear. What is this? Bad restaurant, bad service. I will never go to this type of restaurant anymore. And also the food. The food and beyond. Semua tu is a package, you see. Sometimes, restoran tu mungkin food dia tak so-so, tapi service dia bagus. Then they can survive, and they have to improve the food lah. So it's always a package, food and beverage service ni. I have been to the best restaurant, in New York City, in Europe. They're very fine restaurant. They're not cheap restaurant, For one dinner, you have to pay at least like, let's say, $250 US, $300 US, you see. That's a cheap one, you see. You can go up to $500 US per meal, like one set meal, whatever, from appetizers, main course, dessert, and blah, 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 like that. And you have to make reservation months in ahead or weeks ahead, you see. So these are good restaurants. And then they can survive. And also sometimes good restaurant, also Michelin star restaurant, they cannot survive. Sometimes the chef also kill themselves because they cannot stand the pressure to be on the top.
To maintain on the
To
top.
maintain on the top. So it's a very difficult and very hard business to be in. So that's my take on that one, you see.
Jadi for step one, untuk mana-mana entrepreneurs to reach you punya expectation tu, apa yang dia kena buat for the step one tomorrow?
Well, restaurant business kan, AMIRUL. You can open a restaurant and you'll be out of business in no time. Easy to enter. No. Well, easy to enter, easy to go out. Easy to be gone as well. So, banyak restoran macam kata macam mushroom, like macam cendawan tumbuh kan. So, you have to do a lot, especially nowadays, you have to keeping abreast with the systems, with ITs and look, your restaurant too, what's the theme of your restaurant? Why people want to go to your restaurant? I don't go to regular restaurant,
Dia perlu makan kat mana?
Sometimes, I have a lot of food at home, so I don't really go out. So, and my mom prepare food for me and I would keep it in the freezer and then just heat up, So I don't really cook much. I cook occasionally, and I cook for demos and occasions like that, or invitations ke apa kan, like that lah. Kenduri, at the masjid also I cook. With this cooking, Amirul, I can cook voluntarily, and I can be paid handsomely as well. I can put my price just talking about food. So that's kind of level that, I'm in now, see, just with food. And for me, with food has bring me to the world, and the sky is the limit.
Prof, setuju tak nasi lemak tu jadi orang kata apa, the brand, the food image untuk Malaysia?
Of course.
Ataupun ada makanan lain yang supposedly duduk dekat nasi lemak tu?
Well, nasi lemak, of course, Malaysian nasi lemak is the best to compare with other countries. No other countries. Yeah, other countries in this region, you see. I don't want to mention the countries that you know. But like Indonesia, they don't have nasi lemak. Mm-hmm. They have nasi wudu, which is wudu or something. But it's totally different from nasi lemak. And we have nasi lemak. Our nasi lemak is very unique. Nasi lemak can be served from morning to lunch to dinner, and it can be served with many other dishes as well. So it's uniquely Malaysia. Nobody can take that away from Malaysia. And also another food that we need to promote is laksa.
Laksa.
And in Malaysia, we have more than 10 laksa. And there's no other countries, excuse me, dekat Southeast Asia ni yang ada sebanyak tu laksa. Not even Indonesia. Not even, Thailand pun.
Masa zaman UPM dulu, saya ada plan juga nak buat satu event about laksa. Nama event tersebut Laksa Mana. Just a name lah that I come out. Tapi tak terjadi pun event tu.
You could.
Nama event tu Laksa Mana.
I know.
You heard?
I heard of it. But somebody,
tapi tak jadi pun.
Somebody is going to do it. Somebody's taking that.
I was thinking about pelbagai jenis laksa. Tapi saya tak sangka pula sampai 10 lebih laksa tersebut. Apa? Kalau boleh Prof senaraikan semua 10 lebih tu.
Well, laksa ni dari selatan sampai ke utara Sabah Sarawak ada kan?
Sebab saya tahu laksa Johor, laksa Pahang, laksa Sarawak, laksa Penang.
Laksa Nyonya, laksa Melaka, laksa Terengganu ada. Laksa Kedah ada 2, utara 2 tau. Laksa Perak lagi. Perlis, Perak. Kedah pun ada different laksa, you see. And then Sarawak. Terus 10 dah. And then laksa Pangko pun ada.
Pangko?
Yeah.
Banyak gila laksa.
Banyak.
Is that why Prof collaborate dengan Maggi untuk buat laksa warisan?
Yeah. I mean, they want for the launching of dia laksa lah. Dia instant noodle laksa.
So laksa warisan daripada Maggi tu is based on yang mana satu?
Dia want laksa Nyonya. Dia buat laksa Nyonya.
Laksa Nyonya.
Laksa Nyonya, yes. Tapi dia ada laksa asam.
Kari laksa pun sekali kan?
Kari laksa, not that I know of. Dia laksa Nyonya. And also dia ada kari laksa kan. Asam laksa dah lama dah. Ada. Yeah.
So sepatutnya selain Malaysia tu sepatutnya dikenali sebagai negara nasi lemak, sepatutnya Malaysia pun patutnya dikenali sebagai negara laksa.
Well, kita ni is a food paradise, so to speak, you see. Food paradise because dari selatan ke utara, makanan kita pelbagai. Let's say you go to Penang, the food is so interesting and it's a combination of Melayu, Cina, India, Jawi, macam-macam kan. Dan makanan itu sangat menarik. And membawa, cita rasa yang berlainan di sebuah pulau yang kecil. And then you go to Kedah pun. Kedah kan pun banyak makanan dia yang tak dikenali. Yang orang tahu laksa ataupun nasi daging. Nasi daging pun just di Kedah. Kat sini pun orang tak tahu sangat. Betul tak? Nasi daging tu is interesting, And it's like something like Arabic influence, kan? Perlis pun, you see, the food is influenced by the Thai. Nasi kerabu, for example, Kelantan nasi kerabu, kan nasi kerabu, Kelantan yang ternama nasi kerabu yang percik dia tu. And then setiap daerah, setiap state di Malaysia tu punya makanan. Jadi kalau kita buka restoran tu kan, macam-macam makanan yang kita boleh jual. Tetapi when you want to open a restaurant, you need to focus. You want to your restaurant tu nak dikenali sebagai makanan jenis apa. Dan sekarang ni AMIRUL, sejak bermulanya restoran Chef Wan kita yang ternama kan, restoran apa, D1 kan. So banyaklah restoran-restoran Melayu yang dah naik. Macam for example, I can name now yang hot macam cili padi kan. Ada yang namanya black and white ke apa kan. Ada cengkeh or something. So banyaklah restoran-restoran yang menghidangkan makanan Malaysia dah naik. So people are seeking for Malaysian food, you see. Tapi dia mesti, but then sometimes this restaurant harganya tu patut, I know the cost is high. Harganya kena berbaloi dengan apa yang orang dapat kan. Macam restoran cili padi tu kan. Saya pergi restoran cili padi, tetapi kalau nak pergi seorang tak berbaloi because they don't have menu for seorang. Kena pergi dia tengok 4 orang because dia punya dish so big. Tapi at least kena ada juga macam ada laksa ke apa ke, untuk nasi goreng ke for example. Ada untuk orang seorang. Ni tak ada. Just kalau orang seorang, okay, I teringat I pergi order lauk and then sayur and nasi, that's it. Itu pun banyak, you cannot finish like that. See? So banyak menu kita yang boleh kita jual jika kita buka restoran Malaysia, you see.
Yang betul-betul lah. Sebab rata-rata usahawan memang dekat Malaysia pun banyak usahawan yang jual makanan, betul kan Prof? Tapi kebanyakan ni diorang ni memang buat bisnes untuk survive. Tapi macam Prof punya suggestion tadi tu macam nak kena someone yang boleh bring up Malaysian name throughout, macam cili padi punya brand, which is far-fetched agaknya, sebab the first thing yang usahawan ni perlu buat ialah diorang kena feed the market needs first. Dan rata-rata trend sekarang South Korean punya ayam goreng lah, Thailand punya masakan lah. So apa pendapat Prof tentang keadaan tu?
So that's why I kata dia banyak cabaran. Banyak cabaran, dan juga it's all about marketing. Kalau you buka restoran di ceruk mana pun, kalau the food is good and people talk about it, you can still survive, you see. And the food is very unique and restoran lain tak ada. I like concept, for example, nowadays kan, these restaurants kena dengar. You need to open a restaurant that you work with the farmers. So you can get your constant supply of maybe ayam kampung ke, herba. So even, this concept has been practiced in the West. Fine dining restaurant, the best restaurant in the world, ada dia punya food garden behind the restaurant.
Macam ni lah, Omak Jenny, brand Omak Jenny. Yang Wuhan punya tu. Dia sekarang dah ada ladang sendiri.
Ya, ladang sendiri. Because they want to make sure that the quality of the product tu consistent. Kan dari tanah yang sama, rasa dia sama semua tu. So kalau restoran dapat buat macam tu, you're going to be... Kat Malaysia ada lah, tapi saya tak jumpa lagi lah restoran macam tu. No, tapi kalau you tak ada ladang pun, you work with the farmers. You support the farmers. Farmer supply, tak guna orang tengah. So you can get a good price. Harga yang baik daripada peladang, terus hidangkan di restoran you. Yeah.
So one of the thing about heritage food ni kan is how we create. Dia ada cara dia. Dia ada cara masak dia, betul tak? Dengan adanya maksud saya traditional way untuk buat benda tu, yang kebanyakannya ialah labor intensive, betul. But untuk kita scale sebagai business, let's say lah dia berjaya, untuk kita scale, maka akan ada introduction on machinery. Adakah kita boleh include machinery? Macam mana, apa pendapat Prof kat situ?
Yang tu, we have to keep abreast with the technological aspects, you see. Kalau kita nak masak untuk beribu-ribu orang kan, I cook in Paraguay, I cook in New York City, I cook in Bangkok. I always impress people with my food, you see, with the limited product. But then I use technology. I use the combis, I use the all this to make sure that it is good. Apa yang saya prepare itu menjadi sedap. So kita kena pakai teknologi. Let's say kita nak mengukus nasi. We're not going to use big pot. Kita pakai steamer. Nowadays, there are oven like shelf oven. Okay, sini you boleh buat roast, sini you boleh kukus, sini you boleh slow cooking, whatever. So different, different cooking technique in one uh, oven like that, in one combi like that. So, and then also with this technology, you need to invest a lot. To open a restaurant, let's say a nice restaurant, you need a few millions to start with. And AMIRUL, I work with Malaysian restaurant dah lama dah. From my time in New York City kan, there is this Malaysia, apa nama dia? The Malaysian restaurant. It was so famous, Malaysian food at that time. But then after a while kan, after of course the owner has made millions of dollars, and finally when dah cukup. And also business in New York City, a lot of mafia and all this, you have to give the money apa semua kan. So a lot of rules and regulations, whatever. Then, they have a few restaurants, but then when they make the money already, they are gone. So it's not sustainable. But then the food itself, the restaurant become a hotspot, because so fancy, Roti canai. Baru ni saya baru balik dari Jepun kan, dekat Malaysian, the World Expo tu. You know how much they're selling the nasi lemak? Nasi lemak like this, 52 ringgit. And then roti canai, one piece, like 50 something ringgit as well. Dengan curry, orang beratur macam ni, satu hari dia boleh jual like 2,500 keping roti canai. So one day how much they can make? Beratus ribu. And then the Japanese are lined up. So our food is, people are just crazy for our food. And I just want to make sure that your people in business, you make sure that you are serving the people right. The best, make them impressed with your service, with your presentation. Kalau kita pergi ke Bangkok kan, you pergi dekat, they always have, every time kan, when you go to the mall, they have a cultural food show to showcase their food. Malaysia tak ada buat pun. So, dia akan call all these entrepreneurs dari yang have businesses, I don't know, restaurants, or they will put them in for example, in KCC and Pavilion, you see, and they have a nice setup. It's like magical. The food is nicely arranged and nicely presented, professionally presented, fruits, and they boleh buat sambal dalam tu, and then pack food semua kan. So it's nice. That's how they promote their food, you see, and people will happily buy the food and enjoy the food, and it's very clean, tak buat messy and all that. Pasar malam pun, how they pack the food, how they present the food is like out of this world. So we have to go to that direction. We want to be keeping abreast with other parts of the world.
Yelah, sebab kebanyakan kalau food festival dekat Malaysia ni pun dia bawa masuk makanan Thailand.
Oh, that's why. So where's Malaysian food? When are you going to promote Malaysian food? Kan?
Ke sebab tak ada market sebenarnya, Prof?
No, they don't know how to do it.
How to do it?
Well, you have to work with, for example, big, organization got to take this, They have to have like a list of people that can do this. Like a list of entrepreneurs, small entrepreneurs that can produce good food. For example, okay, you find somebody can sell good laksa, for example. Laksa or nasi kerabu or char kway teow, for example. Maybe char kway teow you can sell in the open air area kan. So there's food that ready-made food, you see, or sometimes food that is packed already, You can find all kinds of food there, you see, but it's already, they just pack to go, you see. And also they have area also where they can eat as well. So these things needs a lot of collaborations with the entrepreneurs, with these big malls, and also with the event organizer. They will organize. They need to do the booth and the theme like that. Kat Malaysia tak pernah saya jumpa selamanya. Kalau kita buat, for example, kalau kita buat dekat KLIA, a food festival, KLIA kan, not in the inside but outside too, so anybody can come and then no need to go security ke apa kan, to just to check out the food or Malaysian food, you see.
Itu kan government ada buat mihas. Mihas tak sama
No, mihas is about selling your product, pet
Mihas,
product.
Maha.
That one means, of course. These are, macam Mihas, they're targeted international buyers for Malaysian sellers, you see. Malaysian company wanted to sell. And Mihas, we get a lot of, by the way, Mihas is coming next week from 17 to 21st of September dekat MITEC. Kan dekat Madrid sana tu. So these are international sellers as well. International companies, Malaysian companies, they want to promote. And it's a big halal show. And other countries are doing halal shows as well. Thailand is doing it. Indonesia are doing it. So we are really fighting for halal market now. So
Dulunya kita je yang fight for the
betul.
halal market.
And now Arab Saudi also, they want to be the leaders in the halal market. And they just can do it this way, like that, you see. Because they have the money, they have the resources.
Prof ada tak idea on the kind of brand yang Prof expect tersebut, macam contoh D1? Selain brand Chef Wan tu, ada tak brand lain? Sebab rata-rata yang saya nampak yang terkenal, yang orang Malaysia dia bawa brand, dia bawa yang membuatkan dia orang terkenal bukan brand makanan heritage pun, makanan daripada luar yang buatkan dia orang naik. Ada tak mana-mana brand yang Prof familiar, yang Prof boleh share supaya usahawan kita dia boleh take that as a benchmark untuk hidupkan heritage food ni?
Well, actually nowadays, AMIRUL, if you are aware in the social media, kan, there's so many posting on heritage food, heritage restaurant. They do restaurant in a kampung house. They are doing good business. And you say, how could you say like heritage food ni tak laku? Because kalau orang kahwin kan, heritage
Nasi
food
minyak
is nasi tu kan. Tetapi, sorry to say, ni masuk pasal orang kahwin pula. Saya nak bambukan orang kahwin, caterer ni kan. Caterer ni AMIRUL, they can make, at one time, they can make 30,000, 50,000, 100,000. It depends. What is your package? Semua nak package, Package kau 300 orang ke, 500 orang ke, 1,000 orang ke kan, yang max lah. But then the food, I tell you, the worst food ever lah. Menu dia, Malaysia ni kan kata kaya dengan macam-macam menu kan.
Yalah.
Ni menu orang kahwin apa? Ayam masak merah, dendeng, and dalca yang senduk-senduk semua dah masuk dalam dalam dish tu kan. Susah nak ambil. And then they don't care, they don't care about the cleanliness of the area tu semua tu. And then orang yang datang lambat, kesian lah. Makanan tak ada dah. And then, some people, I've been to weddings that are very, very good, well organized. Some weddings, they just don't care. People help themselves. Sometimes I feel like going to weddings macam tak ada bermakna lagi dah, Like, come and go.
Supposedly lah kalau Prof pergi wedding kan, Prof expect makanan yang macam mana?
Recently, I went to a wedding. I was impressed. Because tempat tu nice. I've been to the place before and I like the place. And then, okay, dia ada food yang biasa tu. And then, dia punya pekerja tu sangat efficient. Dia kita dah habis je turun clear. Habis kita clear. And then ada supervisor yang memerhati. Kan? So, very efficient. And then the food tu, berbagai jenis makanan. Semua sedap-sedap. Dia ada laksa, ada sate, ada mi kari, ada kuih muih, pelbagai-bagai, ada cendol, all these things, Tetapi macam amount dia buat tu, kalau dia buat tu, katalah, dia buat tu, maybe sate tu, maybe for 1,000 ke 2,000 cucuk, whatever. Dah habis lah. So, you don't have to do macam 5,000 cucuk. But then laksa, for example, laksa tu maybe dia buat dalam 300. Nasi dagang pun ada.
Nasi dagang pun ada?
So, I was impressed. I was so happy. Mula kata, alamak, macam mana aku nak pergi ni? I have other things to do. But I managed to go and they were happy to see me and I was happy too. So, that was very good. I was impressed. Yeah.
Future of F&B, Prof. Dengan adanya AI, I was thinking bila Prof tadi cakap yang heritage food, makanan-makanan yang macam contoh sambal tengik minyak, orang dah tahu apa resepi dia. Why don't we use AI? Dan apa pendapat Prof tentang function of AI yang ada sekarang towards the kind of F&B yang dalam F&B industry kita?
Well, AI ni kan is very, very robust, you see. Can do a lot of things. Of course, kalau you Google kat AI tu, you nak cari apa resepi, apa semua resepi semua dah berdapat. But then, you have to have the knowledge. How to cook these recipes. Like, is it true? Kalau you seorang yang knowledgeable, if I would know whether this is correct or not. then apa yang tertinggal apa semua tu. Yes, of course AI now will help organization or restaurants to ease their work, you see. A lot of like clerical work or data, whatever that they need, they need, AI will help. And systems, IT systems will help to make their business more organized in terms of documentations, in terms of a lot of things that you can do with AI to ease your job, you see. Maybe AI can also help you to plan a menu for a wedding. You just have to prompt what type of menu you want. You want menu from Johor, from Utara, and you do a combine of dishes from different states. You tell them what you want, they can do it. Kan, sometimes ni kita kekeringan idea, but with AI you can be so much richer. You see, but then you have to have the knowledge, you see, to be able to do it.
Prof pernah nampak ada satu robot AI dia jadi waiter?
Ada.
Pernah nampak? Prof rasa berapa lama yang benda tu akan sampai ke Malaysia?
At the moment ni kita ada robot tu, tapi just like yang
tolong hantar makanan tu je. Ni yang boleh bercakap. Dia macam like really humanoid humanoid
well, I mean,
robot.
It can be Malaysia very soon, but then in food and beverage business, this robotic thing, people want personal touch. You want to speak to someone, you see. Yeah, it's a good experience. It's a good experience to do with the robotic, whatever. But then not human, you see. You want to talk to a human. If you have a problem, still you need a manager, you need someone to talk to you, right? So yeah, you can have part a robotic, part service, and then you need to balance this out to make it successful. Look, kalau fine dining restaurant, people are paying like thousands of ringgit to enjoy the food. You want to send robot? No, you want to human, you see. Humanistic punya human touch is very, very important and cannot be exchanged with a robotic stuff whatsoever. But then, you have to do, like maybe in certain industry, yes, it can be robotic, you see. But then in the service industry, still you need people, you need to train the people, and the service too, that's the thing that people cannot do. And sorry to say that in the food service industry in Malaysia, less and less of our people are not interested to work in the business because it's not paying so good, right? So we have a lot of foreigners taking this job. We are becoming like Singapore, other countries. But then, this business, for example, for, like we universities, UPM offering this program, you see, they know that they have to know that, our program, Food Service Management Program, we are offering degree in Food Service Management Program at Faculty of Food Science and Technology, UPM. This program has a lot of potential for the future. There's a lot of jobs dealing with this. Tapi, they don't see the future of this. And when you have more experience in the industry, you can make an very good salary with this profession. You see, when you're at a higher level. Of course, when you start, it's going to be very challenging. But they pay you a certain amount based on experience and all these things. You see, so it's not going to be like you're going to be like getting after graduate you're going to get 10,000. Who's going to get that? Not even in Singapore. You see, fresh graduate will get like 6,000-7,000 because of the currency conversion like that. So,
tadi Prof kata the heritage foods ada 213. Is there adakah in future akan bertambah lagi nombor tu? How much more yang kita belum explore lagi, Prof?
Banyak. Basically Jabatan Warisan tu kita ada like we have a channel whereby people can recommend what food to bring diangkat sebagai warisan kebangsaan. Then memula kena angkat warisan kebangsaan, ada list itu, and then agreed upon the committees of Makanan Warisan Negara, the committee dia, and then kita will look at it and we discuss, we deliberate and all these things. Then there will be more food will come into the list if we decided to add up to the list. Memang banyak lagi lah. So it's all from the society, you see, got to bring this food to us.
Kat mana usahawan semua tu boleh tengok senarai semua ni? Sebab mana tahu kan?
Ada
Sebab
dekat Jabatan Warisan Negara punya website ada.
Jabatan Warisan Negara. Sebab obviously usahawan-usahawan ni macam Prof cakap tadi, kalau dia orang nak buat bisnes, kita nak jadi unik. Dan kalau kita nak jadi unik, maka kita kena jual apa yang orang tak jual.
Betul.
Dan dia orang pergi ke website tu lah untuk cari semua tu.
Cari, yes.
213.
But then, next thing is that they have to go to the source. Go learn about everything you want to know about the food. Let's say, you get this food, something lah, that's very rare. But then you want to sell it. But of course, you need to learn how to make it. And you have to know the cost. And
Tapi kalau orang tu dah tak ada, macam Prof cakap tadi, kalau orang tu dah tak ada, macam mana nak buat?
Tapi there should be somebody who knows how to do it.
Boleh tanya AI lah.
Yeah, AI, yeah.
Boleh.
But then you have to know whether it's true or not.
Oh iyalah ya.
Kan? So you have to learn to make it. Then you can sell it. See?
Prof punya prediction macam mana? Towards lagi 10 tahun akan datang. How would the world see it in your eyes? Lagi 10 tahun akan datang dunia F&B dekat Malaysia.
I think we will be at par with the rest of the world. We have to. Because now we want to get a lot of people to come to visit Malaysia. So we have to set the Malaysian standard very high. People like Malaysia now because, in the region, our currency is very good, it's like good for them, you see. And a lot of people are so interested in our food, our country, because we are not having chaotic or whatever, and very safe, very modern. KL is very pretty now, So, like Americans, Americans, they don't know geography much. But then now they know about Malaysia. They're so impressed when they come here, you see. Foreigners. And some American malls, not even like Malaysian malls. They are worse. And our train now with MRT, is the best. We have a better communications, transportation system now in the city lah. But then we have to improve those in other parts of the country to make people, to ease people when they travel to Malaysia.
Ada satu terms yang saya baca berkenaan dengan Prof tentang gastro-diplomacy. What's that?
Gastro-diplomacy is how, you with food ni kan, how you want to become diplomacy with food. Yeah. Ini you kena cut lah. Tak tahu boleh cut kan?
Kenapa nak cut pula?
Because I didn't prepare for this. Aku dah lupa benda tu.
Bukan, okay. Let me remind you kot. Sebab one of the things that I belajar ialah gastro-diplomacy in how you deal with other countries, and then you exchange food to get to know to the
macam
other
kita
country.
dengan Indonesia lah. Kan?
Itu gastro-diplomacy lah tu. Rendang tu milik siapa?
Yes. Now I remember, yes. Tak boleh you kata, where Indonesia want to claim is theirs, but it's also part of us as well. We are in this, in this region, we share the same culture, food culture, but not exactly the same, but some of the food too is being shared among the people. Kan? So, like that.
Selain Indonesia, apa lagi? Thailand ada tak yang
Ada.
Apa ni? Tom yum.
No, nasi kerabu ada kat Thailand.
Nasi
And
kerabu.
also the what do you call this, the mango and sticky rice. Kan kat Perlis ada.
Pulut mangga.
Thailand pun ada pulut mangga. Kelantan pun ada. So that's the Thai influence, you see. And then apa lagi influence from where? In Philippines, in Sabah.
Which is makanan apa?
Philippines. The food is not spicy. Kan, dia tak ada banyak coconut and things, you see. Like that lah.
Tapi kebanyakan kan, bila cakap pasal gastro-diplomacy ni, nampak Indonesia dengan Malaysia, Thailand dengan Malaysia. Vietnam, Kemboja tak ada.
No, because it's away from Malaysia kan. Tapi they still have, for example, like laksa. They still have, the main food is rice. They have laksa. Laksa is like noodle soup, see. But then the style is different. Thailand ada, Cambodia, Laos semua ada, you see. Ada. And the food is kind of spicy, a lot of chili, you see, and coconut milk. Base ingredients the same, but the way you cook, the flavors is different. There are key ingredients in their cuisines, you see. And
Prof, boleh cerita sikit you punya next project? Sebab tadi Prof ada cakap yang you nak retire dah. What's your next project tu? Kalau boleh kongsi pada
many
orang ramai.
things. I want to do many things, you know. I will do cooking around the world. I will do advising. I will working with entrepreneurs. I do everything about food, you see. I can do, you know, I mean, for example, like kuih bakar, you see.
Kuih bakar yang hijau tu kan?
I have tasted so many kuih bakar. Tapi semua AMIRUL, semua tak sedap. Yang I buat sangat sedap.
Yang sedap tu macam mana dia punya rasa dia tu, Prof?
I buat
Rangup di luar ke
I
lembut
buat
di dalam?
sedap because apa tahu, saya punya berlemak. And also, I don't use coloring at all. I use 2 different types of pandan leaves. And I use freshly squeezed coconut milk. You see, that's make the difference in my product. And my product AMIRUL, daripada dulu sampai sekarang, saya akan jual dengan mahal. You know, I did an event in New York City, you see, or in Berlin, for example. I could sell my cocktail food at the Ritz-Carlton. They were selling it for Garuda Malaysia 250 to 200. You know, for like a set dinner, 200, you see. And then kalau dia ambil yang tu is about, I think 70 euros or something, 50 euros. Just like ada some satays and some like spring roll and some salads, whatever, 70 euros. So, you know, that's the food that I prepare, you know, at the hotel Ritz-Carlton. That's the price. So, I really can sell this food.
With that said kan Prof, kenapa Prof tak buka restoran sendiri macam Chef Wan?
Well, I don't want to open a restaurant because I would rather advise people how to do. I could train people, you see. And when you have a restaurant, you have a big responsibility to your restaurant to make sure that your restaurant sells, you see. And I'm in academia. I have to focus. I cannot do the restaurant. I know some academia. Okay, he's in academia. And also he's in the restaurant industry. At the end, you have to go to the restaurant industry because you cannot cope with everything. You have to focus. For me, I believe in being focused. And still, I'm so well known in the industry as well because what the things that I do. You see, I advise people so many things, all related to food, Malaysian food, heritage food, you see.
Yeah, but why academia?
Academia is about training, you know, sharing my knowledge.
But tadi, one of the thing then that I would love to make it clear kan, the turning point yang you decide on after you bekerja from then you jump into academic instead of you open your own restaurant. I think this is the turning point. Betul tak? What happened there?
Yeah, one of the thing I feel, because I want to get a higher degrees, masters and PhD, you see. So I decided to be in academia. I can do more. And you know, academia is a lot of freedom. You can, the sky is the limit.
Adakah sebab parents Prof yang nak Prof belajar tinggi-tinggi instead of you jadi usahawan?
Tak, it's my needs, my aspiration to be at what I am now. I am, for your information, AMIRUL, if you don't know, I am the professor of Malaysian Heritage Food and Culture, one and only in the country.
I heard.
Nobody else. You see,
cakap.
I bring Malaysian food to the highest level in my profession, you see. So I can talk about Malaysian food to the world.
So basically Prof, moving forward, Prof pergi ke negara untuk menjual makanan Malaysia lah.
Of course, I bring Malaysian food. You know, I do food festivals. I work with hotels. I do lectures. I do talks. I do training. You know, when I cook Malaysian food in Bangkok, they were like, macam, wow, this is Malaysian food. They were eating. I was cooking nasi lemak. You know, in one of the halal restaurant, halal hotel in Bangkok, one of the first halal restaurant in Bangkok. And I know the family very well. And I was cooking nasi lemak. And then when the sambal today, you see like that. Because our taste is different from Thai food, you see. Sambal nasi lemak is so different. They were amazed by the taste of our food. Dia suka sangat nasi lemak dengan sambal dia tu.
Apa beza nasi lemak Prof dengan nasi lemak orang lain? Macam, ada tak beza nasi lemak
Of
seorang
course.
profesor yang buat nasi lemak dengan macam mak saya yang buat nasi lemak?
AMIRUL, you tak tahu ke? I always say that I have golden hands, you know.
Okay.
Buat apa-apa semua sedap. Because I cook with my passions. You know, I cook, for example, last year I bought sambal dekat Paraguay. And I bring the chili, you know. Whenever I go to nasi lemak, I bring our chili. Cannot use their chili because it's going spicy. And buat sambal nasi lemak ada teknik dia sebenarnya, AMIRUL. You kena masak dia lama-lama, make sure je. And then balance the taste. Lots of onions, barulah sedap. And nasi lemak tu, you know, you cook nasi lemak with santan. Tapi overseas tak boleh kan? Tak boleh pakai santan fresh. Tapi you choose the santan you want to use and then you add some. You know, lemongrass, you put pandan, you put onions, you put ginger, just to give the flavor, you know.
Untuk nasi tu
my sambal tu, kalau buat nasi lemak kat luar negara, tak boleh buat terlalu pedas. Tapi my sambal tu, European yang tak pernah makan sambal, makan, they feel so good. Dia not burn their tongue tau. They're really happy with this. Dia sedap sangat. They feel like flying to Malaysia tomorrow to have Malaysian food, you see.
Tapi sayang Prof Shahrim tak buka kedai nasi lemak je.
Boleh lah kita collaborate dengan mana-mana usahawan nak jadi kaya partner tu boleh. I give you advice, you see.
Okay Prof, so basically we are actually at the end of the podcast lah Prof.
Okay.
It's a very interesting topic to discuss with you. Soalan terakhir saya Prof ialah, bila you dah tak ada nanti, macam mana Prof nak dikenali?
Well, for me, you know, my legacy would be, you know, my the heritage food lives on beyond, you know, many years, you know, for the future generations. If not, you know, this food would die if nobody would care about it, you see. So we have to care about our food before we care about other food, you see.
So maksudnya Prof nak jadi P-Ramlee untuk makanan lah. Sebab
Tak
P-Ramlee
adalah.
pun cakap music. P-Ramlee kan buat music kan. Music yang orang kata apa, yang berlekat di hati anak muda. Kalau tidak nanti benda lain yang masuk, dia kata. So Prof is like somewhere around that.
Well, for me, as long as the food can be sustained, then I'll be happy already, you see. And there'll be a lot of takers, you know, to continue the legacy of Malaysian heritage food, you see. And I want the Malaysian food to be famous around the world. So that the more businesses around the world, Malaysian food restaurant.
Alright. Thank you so much Prof kerana sudi meluangkan masa untuk sesi Laga Lutut podcast ni. Saya nak ucap terima kasih kepada Prof juga dengan segala usaha yang Prof dah lalui selama 30 tahun lebih. Saya ucapkan tahniah juga kat Prof kerana sudah sampai dekat this phase of your life. Dan itu saja daripada saya. Assalamualaikum.
Thank you again for invite, and then maybe we can talk more about other topics in the future. Thank you so
InsyaAllah.
much.
Assalamualaikum Prof.
Salam.